What is the first of the Ten Commandments? What's the beginning of the revelation at Sinai? Anochi Hashem Elokecha asher hotzeticha be'eretz Mitzrayim mibet avadim. It doesn't say, I am the Lord your God who created the whole universe. It says, I am Yud Hey Vav Hey, your God, who brought you out of Egypt. And as I redeemed you then, I will redeem you again. And that redemption is built into the fabric of this universe. And a redemption towards freedom. God's, in a sense, qualification, if we can even use such a term, for God's relationship with us is as the Redeemer. And as God redeems us, so we strive to redeem the world. Creativity is a huge part of that. So the whole purpose is bound up with the destiny of the Jewish people. What's more impressive, creating the universe or redeeming the Jewish people out of Egypt? It's almost like God saying, you know, anyone can create a universe, but to redeem the Jewish people from Egypt, now that's something. That's a major intervention in history, to create a purposeful history. Second commandment, Lo yeh lecha elokim acherim al panai. Don't have any other gods. Using specifically the word Elokim. Don't use anything else, whether in nature, whether spiritual, any sort of thing to represent the totality that is the ultimate vehicle and mode of revelation of God. The sin of the golden calf, for example, was not that they actually thought this calf was God, but that they utilized this calf as a representation of God. But the representation of the singularity can't be expressed. That is why the God of the Jewish people is an invisible God. It always has been. Kabbalah tells us that God is ayin, nothingness. Now that's not a type of transcendental atheism, as much as it's saying to us that if you try and encapsulate God as an essential object, you are completely missing the point. The third commandment is about taking God's name in vain, and begins to point to, once again, using the concept of the divine, the concept of God, as a utility, so that suddenly I can convert the holy into some sort of, curriculum vitae bona fides, because, I quote God's name, therefore it must be true. A truth itself is not an object. Truth emerges. Where, as we discussed, Mark, where does truth emerge? From the center, from the middle way. It is that which is the consequence, it's that which is emerged. And you can't force truth by quoting the divine. The fourth commandment is the commandment of Shabbat. We know that in the two different versions of the Aseret HaDibrot, we've got Zachor and Shamor. Remember the Shabbat and keep the Shabbat. Everybody needs to have a Shabbat. Even animals. Even your animal. Even your animal. The Torah is very, very clear. Don't work on Shabbat. Don't work on Shabbat. Not you, not your family, not your servants, not your animals. Shabbat is built into the fabric of the universe. And I cannot understand why people don't seem to get that concept. I'm constantly being asked to talk and be paid for talking on Shabbat. And when I say I don't work on Shabbat, people go, "Oh, really? It doesn't matter what I do, so I give over Torah, so what? If that's my income, if someone has an income, if someone's a musician and they're playing in a synagogue, that's working on Shabbat. Don't do it." We're going to take that out. We're going to edit that statement out. Okay? It's too personal. Okay? Don't worry, we're going to edit it out. So let me go. Don't work on Shabbat. Because if the Jewish people do not, and why? Because it's a sign. The Shabbat is a sign of our covenant with God the Creator. The existence of the Jewish people. The Jewish people keep Shabbat, and Shabbat keeps the Jewish people, and it's just like the Torah. The Torah alone and the Jewish people alone can't exist. It's the Jewish people keeping the Torah. That's why the Torah is part of the Jewish people. It's not some sort of religious discourse that you've got this cultural ethnic identity called the Jewish people that suddenly keep the Torah. The Torah is part of the Jewish people, and the Jewish people are part of the Torah. It's the one and the same thing. It's the living Torah that is expressed to the Jewish people. And the Torah is what we get from Sinai. It blows me away that people can't see this. They can't see that all you need is the 10 Commandments. The 5th commandment. Honor your parents. Show me another nation on earth that has given the world that concept. That is such a profound concept for peace in the world and for the dignity of human beings that I don't even need to talk about it. I don't even talk. It is absolutely fundamental to what we call Kvod Ha'adam, the dignity of human beings. All societies which have lost any perspective of the individual worth of human beings do not honour the generation that came before them, do not honour their own parents. And then, don't steal. Don't have illicit sexual relations. Don't murder. Don't covet. Don't bear false witness. All the second 5 are just so incredibly key and obvious. But even then we have to ask ourselves, well, don't steal. What defines stealing? So you still need an oral tradition laying down the principles by which, and that's what the whole concept of the rest of the Torah is about, and what the whole concept of the oral Torah, the Torah Shebaal Peh, which we also got at Sinai. What sort of God would just say to us, don't steal? How long would it be before there's a question on that? So there is a whole oral transmission that goes with it. The 10 Commandments are vital. If the world just had that, if we had given the world nothing but the 10 Commandments, it would have been enough.